Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a suggestion for those of you who really like Orff's Carmina Burana. Some of you might want to know what is the next logical thing. And believe me, this is a major issue because I grew up, we sang Carmina Burana when I was in high school. I loved Carmina Burana. It's one of those, by Carl Orff, by the way. It's a guy's name, Orff. I remember hearing that too. It's like, his name is Orff? Yeah, his name is Orff. Not Woof, not, Thwoof, but Orff. Anyway, musicologically speaking, Orff is not looked on with great respect. His educational work, yes, that's a separate thing. But his actual compositions are kind of like, well, let me take Stravinsky's Les Noces and recycle it over and over again for the rest of my life. And that's kind of what he did. There wasn't much beyond that. And his personal style and the fact that he was a Nazi, and, he had some issues, let's put it that way. And so from a musical point of view, his rather primal, non-developing, rhythmic, sometimes catchy, simplistic barbarity is sometimes viewed as sort of the ultimate fascist realist, style. And I don't know if it is or it isn't. All I know is that I like I like Carmina Burana. Carmina Burana is just a great piece. And if you really like it, you're going to want to hear more. Well, it turns out Carmina Burana is part of a trilogy. That trilogy includes Cutuli Carmina and Il Trionfo di Aphrodite. Well, that's a problem. They're basically a problem because, first of all, the other two are in Greek. Not that that matters, but, who wants to get screamed at in Greek for a long time? And the second one is written for the same ensemble as Stravinsky's Les Noces, that is, 4 pianos and percussion, except that most of it is simply for a cappella choir. It's a very different work from Carmina Burana. It's a story of a guy and his girlfriend. Her name is Lesbia, and his name is Catullus, or whatever his name is, or that was the poet, and they don't get along, and then there's elders making fun of the youngers, and the youngers making fun of the elders, and the story is supposed to prove that the elders are right and being cynical and that love never works out. And I mean, do you really care? It happens to be a lovely piece. Don't get me wrong. But if you like Carmina Burana, which is a bunch of really catchy rhythmic songs arranged for a wonderful assortment of ensembles and soloists and full orchestra with lots of driving percussion instruments, well, then you're not going to really go for Cutuli Carmina or Carmina or however you pronounce it. And the next one is even worse. Il Trionfo di Aphrodite, the triumph of love. Okay, it ends with like an orgy. That's always a good thing. There's sort of a wedding thing, but there's a lot of yelling, verbal yelling in Greek, which is extremely irritating. I don't care how you slice it and dice it. It's not because Greek is irritating. Greek is wonderful. It's a lovely language. It's because the yelling is irritating, and who cares? And again, the music is attenuated in a way that you don't hear in Carmina Burana. Carmina Burana, for all of its simplicity, is an abundant piece. It's full of tunes. It's full of variety. Il Trionfo di Aphrodite, or whatever it's called, well, not so much. It's shorter. I mean, it's like 40 minutes long, but still. So that's not going to get you very far either. So let us say you want sort of more of the same or something that's different but not so different that it is off-putting. Then the answer is Der Mond, the moon. Now, Der Mond is it's like an opera. It's about an hour and a half long, and it's not quite an opera, an hour and 20 minutes or so. It's a musical play. It does have some dialogue, which is most annoying. I understand that, but at least it's telling the story. The story's adorable. The story's really cute. These three guys, they're like crooks, and they're wandering through the countryside, and they see the moon hanging up in an oak tree. And they say to these people, what the hell is that? And they say, oh, that's the moon. Our mayor bought it for us, and we give him $3 every week or so, or every month, and he tops it up with a little oil, and then we have light at night, and it's totally great. And here's what we do with it. So the guys think, seems profitable. We're going to steal it. So they cut it down and they steal it. They take it back to their own town, and they show up with it in a wheelbarrow. And these people say, well, what the hell is that? And they go, it's the moon. They go, what do we do with the moon? And they tell them what you do with the moon. And they say, well, we're going to pay. You've got to pay us, and we'll maintain this, and we'll hang it up in the tree, and we'll have a moon. And so they do get paid. But as time goes on, the time passes, the three crooks start to get old, and they die. And as they die, they want their slice of moon buried with them. So when they go, they cut up the moon into thirds, and each time it gets a little dimmer, of course, until finally it's gone, and it gets buried with them. So that's sort of like part one. In part two, they're down in hell, or in the realm of the dead, or wherever that is, and they wake up, and they're all down there, and it's all very quiet and very gloomy and very dark. So they reassemble their moon, and it lights up, and the light of the moon wakes the dead. Ooh, and the dead get up, and they're terribly rowdy people. They really are. They're bowling. It's the only piece of music with like a bowling alley in the percussion section. Actually, it's Skittles, but it's the same thing. And they're all just getting very rowdy, and in German Bavarian Oktoberfest beer hall kind of fashion, and they're singing and living it up. And St. Peter wakes up. He's up in his cloud, and he looks down. He says, what the hell is going on down there? What's doing? So he hurls a comet down and silences everybody. He gets down and says, now what the heck is this? And he finds out that the culprit in waking the dead was the moon. And he says, oh, well, that's not what's supposed to happen. So he takes the moon and he puts it in the sky, far away, where it will provide light without doing any damage. And that's the story. It's a charming little fairy tale, and it's set to music that's extremely similar to Carmina Burana, which makes it really fun. It's fun to listen to. It's tuneful. It's delightful. It's wonderfully scored. And, I mean, it's very catchy. It's very, very catchy. I mean, you'll go away humming it, when the moon gets stolen, they're all going, the moon is for, wer hat den ist gestohlen, or what do you do with the moon, and unsere Schultheiß hat ihr für, it's all just as catchy. Life, not even. I mean, you even get a sense of that maybe the way I sing it, or not quite. But what can I do? Anyway, so that's the piece. Der Mond, the moon. It's delicious. In fact, Orff even invented a new nonsense word for Der Mond. You remember the nonsense word in Carmina Burana? It's nazaza. Remember that from Veni Venias in part 3. Pulchra tibi facies, nazaza, nazaza, right? No one knows what a nazaza is. Well, in Der Mond, it's after it gets stolen, they all go vololu. Vololu, vololu, finsternis, oh my God, vololu. There's darkness because the moon is gone after it gets stolen. And they're all thinking, oh my God, we have darkness. It's just delicious. So the performance there were really two. There was Wolfgang Sawallisch's old EMI version, which was quite good. It's now on Warner, if it still exists. But best of all was this newer one by Herbert Kegel, which was originally released on Philips, but it was an East German production, and it's now on Berlin Classics in this Carl Orff edition, which is inexpensive, and where you get Die Kluge, which is similar to Der Mond, only it's got a lot more dialogue, so that rules it out for me as a Carmina Burana sequel. And then you get the three Carmina Burana things, the Triumphi, Carmina, Cthulhi, and Triumpho. And it's a wonderful box. I've talked about the box before, but not as extensively about Der Mond. And so for all you Orffniks, or Orpheans, or whatever you are, if you want to get a logical successor to Carmina Burana, the next thing to listen to is Carl Orff's Der Mond with Herbert Kegel conducting, and you will be in business. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.